There's nothing more abominable than legalized murder of the unborn. Abortion will always be the supreme issue as long as our churches and society accept the practice. The Bible could not be more clear that the killing of innocent life is evil. God consistently enacts judicial penalties against murderers from Genesis to Revelation. The sixth commandment, "Thou shalt not kill," is based upon the principle that humans are made in the image of God. Each person of the Trinity lives to serve and glorify one another. Since they are innocent of all evil, no one has the authority to bring a death sentence against them. When one dies, it is only by voluntary sacrifice, as Christ displayed at his crucifixion. Similarly, God has granted humanity the gift of life. Because we are his images, no one has the authority to take innocent life away from us. When that life has been taken away, a crime has been committed. Ron Paul is an OBGYN by profession who believes that life begins at conception. As much as Paul talks about protecting liberty, he affirms that protecting life is foundational. If you don't protect life, you can't protect liberty. The two are inseparable. Paul has written 2 full books against legal abortion and has consistently introduced legislation that would instantly save the lives of the unborn. Those who say Paul is soft on abortion or that he doesn't reflect a Christian view of protecting life have not done their homework. Compared to the other presidential candidates, Paul is in fact the only true anti-abortion candidate. In the last 6 years alone, Paul has introduced the Sanctity of Life Act to Congress 5 times, though he has never received more than 5 co-sponsors. This bill would define the unborn as persons with full protection under the law, immediately repealing Roe v. Wade and making abortion a states' rights issue. This is the quickest, most practical way to outlaw abortion. It's important to understand what Paul means when he says abortion is a states' rights issue. It does not mean that he is pro-choice for states, as some critics often claim. Rather, legislating criminal law is reserved to the states, per the 10th Amendment. Crime in general has always been handled at the state level, including laws against murder, which obviously includes abortion. This means that the federal government had no constitutional authority to nationalize abortion, which is exactly what it did with Roe v. Wade. The wording of Paul's bills are to allow states to reclaim their right to outlaw abortion, not to let them do whatever they want. If you need further proof, in his recent book, Liberty Defined, Paul clarifies that if a state legalized abortion, they could be prosecuted for not upholding a Republican form of government, which is required by the Constitution. This hardly describes someone who is pro-choice for states. Republicans could have passed the Sanctity of Life Act when they controlled both houses under President Bush, but it was virtually ignored. Currently, in 2011, the Sanctity of Life Act has 0 co-sponsors. This should prove that the Republican Party as a whole is not serious about ending abortion. Likewise, Paul's opponents have no real plan to outlaw abortion. They claim to be pro-life, but have never supported legislation as courageous as Paul's. Even Rick Santorum, the one who champions himself as the most pro-life candidate, never sponsored legislation to actually outlaw abortion or repeal Roe v. Wade. Some candidates say they favor a constitutional amendment to outlaw abortion, but a constitutional amendment will take years to pass, if ever, with countless abortions occurring in the meantime. Some say they will appoint conservative justices to the Supreme Court, but conservative justices were the ones who passed Roe v. Wade. Other candidates have flip-flopped on their position and therefore have no credibility. We don't need new judges or new amendments. We just need godly politicians who aren't afraid of the 10th Amendment. Dr. Paul is the only presidential candidate that possesses the zeal and intelligence necessary to outlaw abortion. His position on abortion alone should have Christians flocking to vote for him.